All right, well, welcome back. Here we're gonna try it again. It's another year, and new cycle's coming up pretty soon. I know every cycle, every year, I say I'm gonna do better about the podcast, so I'll just kind of skip that part. Anyway, my name is James. I'm a physician assistant and head of PA Mentor Online, and we try to put out these videos when we have somebody new that has been accepted. We've actually had a lot in this current cycle, so we're just a little bit behind, but. As you can tell from the shirt, so we're talking to somebody who got accepted into one of the PA programs at South College. This particular candidate is somebody who was a reapplicant. As a matter of fact, this was his third time applying, and he comes from a non-traditional background. So it's really a great story. I hope you'll enjoy listening to him talk about his process. But most importantly, for those who are not accepted. A lot of times we talk to students who were not accepted and just want to kind of throw in the towel and look at a different career. And unfortunately for some people, it may even take 3 or 4 cycles. But as somebody like myself who's been practicing for more than 4 decades, I can tell you that if you do have to apply again a second or third time, there are worse things in life. So anyway. Take a listen to Ian, who's going to talk to you about talk to you about his process applying and getting accepted into a PA program. So hopefully this cycle will be a little bit better with the podcast. All right. Thanks. Bye. All right, everybody. Well, welcome back. Today we're going to talk to one of our students that was accepted, and I'm just going to let him go ahead and take over. And if you'll just tell us your name and what school you're going to be attending.
Yeah. James, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Ian, and I'll be attending South College in Asheville, North Carolina.
Well, congratulations, Ian. So
thank you.
I know this has been a little bit of a journey. So when did we first start working? If you don't mind, when did we first start working with each other?
I would say maybe about 3 years ago. I mean, my memory fades this process has been a long process, and there have been a lot of learning moments and as you can imagine, with that, time passes. I would say about three years ago, James.
Yeah, I think that's about right. So
yeah,
let's just talk about how did you decide, because you've had, you were doing some other work previously and had some other interests. So how did you decide to become a PA?
I would say it was an accumulation of different experiences, whether it was in my post-bac after university, just by conversation with my professors and some students who were in my physiology class. With that, it was also some friends who were talking to me about the PA profession. It was my friend who shadowed a PA, and then she ended up becoming a PA, and then she would invite me to come out and shadow her. And so it's really accumulation of events that led me to this decision. But it really is a let's just say a multitude of experiences that really gave me an opportunity to think about this.
Okay. So where did you do your undergraduate work at?
I did my undergraduate work at the University of California, San Diego, right smack in La Jolla. Such a beautiful school. Yeah.
Then after you graduated, again, I know we sort of covered this, but what did you do? Like, what type of work were you involved in at that time after you graduated college?
Boy, I was quite the non-traditional student, rather. I studied public policy. So as you can imagine, I came out of school trying to do some legal work. I worked at a couple law firms, worked at a pharmaceutical company, thinking I could do some legal work as a summer associate. But at the same time, I was teaching piano. So and I was tutoring math. I was doing all these different things. Yeah.
Okay. Pretty eclectic background.
Yeah. Too diverse sometimes.
You left out world traveler.
That's right. That too. I traveled way too many times and to different states and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So when you decided, I mean, again, given your prior background, so when you decided to become a PA, you must have had to start taking some of the prereqs that you probably didn't already have.
Right. No,
and where did you took those locally, I'm assuming?
I did. So it would be nice to take my prereqs again at my alma mater at UCSD, but prices are high for these courses, right? So I thought about just taking these courses at a local community college, and that's exactly what I did. I
Okay.
looked up two local colleges and I finished all my prereqs there.
How did you find that? Like going back to again, probably not having a very big science background to begin with, to now going into all sciences. How did you find that transition?
Let's just say it was tough, but I knew that I had to do it if I were to consider a career in becoming a physician assistant. There was just no shortcuts around it, right? It's either you go in hedge on, willing to take all these courses, or you start considering something else. It's not for the faint of heart. I can tell you that. Not for the faint of
Okay.
heart. Yeah.
Now, tell me about like what about your patient care experience? So what did you end up doing, or what did you first pursue to get some patient care?
Sure. Yeah. So right around the time I was working in the legal field, I was already thinking about making the transition. And so I did my post-bac courses in community college, but at the same time, I started volunteering at hospitals, thinking that I could get some experience that way. But I learned that it would require more than just volunteering and seeing patients that way. So uh, I looked for job opportunities in physical therapy, and I've stayed in that physical therapy space as a PT technician for the past 4.5 years.
Wow.
And I really, I really am grateful for the lessons learned and the experiences I've had with patients.
Okay. What would you say was the most difficult class that you encountered during your time, finishing up the prereqs that you need for a PA program?
Okay, it would have to be between Organic Chemistry 2, the second of the series, or biochemistry. And I really do think it comes down to um uh what you're I don't know. For me, it was those two courses were the toughest. I would say OChem for me was the most difficult. But that was just, I mean, this was 4 or 5 years ago. Um, so maybe that might have changed. Maybe I might, if I take it again, I might feel differently.
You gonna take it again?
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Yeah.
Okay, you did end up taking the GRE.
Yeah.
How did you study for it, or what did you find to be helpful as far as studying?
Definitely. So I looked into resources like Kaplan and Magoosh, but I stuck with Magoosh. Really awesome resource. Did it online, so, allocated about 3 months to study for the GRE while working and while volunteering, all the like, taking classes as well. Magoosh is an excellent resource. I refer to YouTube a lot as well. Um, these days, technology just allows you to have access to a lot of things.
Well, speaking of the online, when you were studying for GRE, how did COVID affect you? Because you basically started this all like right in the midst or the height of the pandemic. So, how did that impact your whole process, getting the classes, hours, everything you needed?
Boy, I would say that it
Or
was
did
more
it?
difficult. Yeah, it did. It did. I mean, don't get me wrong, like COVID was all I can say is there's such a time, right? I can speak personally for myself, that in many ways COVID actually made it more challenging, in the sense that it was not easy for me to just reach out to a doctor or a PA to just shadow them. There were a lot of restrictions and limitations, for students or for aspiring PA students um, to shadow. And so everything went virtual. I think at that time, everybody was trying to figure out, okay, how to navigate this whole, uh, um, uh, navigate that whole season of COVID-19. For me, it was difficult. I had to go through a lot of contacts, to be able to find an opportunity to shadow. But I
Mhm.
know there were websites that allowed for virtual shadowing. Thanks to you, James. I mean, you referred a couple to me, and I was
Okay.
able
So,
to attend some. Yeah.
so once we started the process, one of the things we did work on is personal statement. And how did you find that process? We worked together, try to come up with what would be a good statement for you, and then obviously writing, the editing.
Yeah. it was humbling because thinking that I mean, I had my story, right? I would like to think I'm the one who I would like to think I like flowery language and I'm a poet by nature. I love reading books by um, uh, Charles Dickens, as you can imagine, and uh, Mark Twain, very flowery language. So I thought that by having this background of reading literature, that I can bring that to my personal statement.
Mhm.
Little did I know that it's not about that. It's a and James, you've really opened my mind to how to write an effective personal statement that is relevant to that particular program or all the programs for that matter. Um, all I can say is it was definitely unexpected. It took me by surprise.
So when you applied, I have to look back. I honestly gonna say
Yeah.
I don't remember right now. Did you get any interviews the first cycle?
The first cycle, I no interviews the first cycle.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
no interviews the first
you
cycle.
know,
Oh, it's been a long time. Wow.
so first cycle,
Yeah.
we're not I also think, we just did submit fairly late too, if I'm not mistaken, the first cycle.
Correct.
So
Yep.
we go ahead, we're just okay, let's just move forward. We get to the second cycle, get things going. You did have interview in the second cycle. So for your
Yeah.
first interview, we did some preparation for that. And then how do you feel that that helped you in terms of your interview?
Oh, it helped tremendously from the second cycle to moving on to the third cycle, which um, it took me completely by surprise. The interview preparation process with you, James, have been nothing but fruitful and so productive. I realize it's more of an issue with me sitting down and actually reviewing the questions that you have so graciously given and provided me with. Uh, I think I really do believe at the end of the day, had I listened to every single thing you said, James, there would have been more interviews. And for me, I like to run my life, let's just say on uh I would say full steam with respect to a lot of things. I get distracted by a lot of things.
Mhm.
But given my lifestyle, you've definitely you played a huge part in allowing me to secure these interviews from the second cycle and the third cycle.
So here we came back again. Love the determination. I love, for you, it was never an issue. It's like, let's just do it. We're gonna go forward. Didn't
Sure.
get in that cycle, didn't get it. No, I know, but I mean, I some people it's like doom and gloom, and they're just
Right.
and you're just like, let's go, let's go. So
Right.
we got it off rather quickly this time, and then interviews. But this last interview, I know you had a good time because, well, the good news.
Absolutely. Had a blast. It was a nice, let's just say, icing on the cake to receive the acceptance.
What do you think changed from the last cycle, or maybe even over the periods that we've been working together? What would you say in terms of what you did to change, or how things changed to better your
Right.
chances? Or
Sure. Yeah, it was being more mindful of the details. Um, just making sure that I was constantly updating my COSPA and preparing for potential interviews coming up for the most recent cycle with you. It was making sure that I continued to shadow and work, gaining my patient care experience and taking it upon myself to take the immune, an upper division course that you recommended. I finished immune system course at UCSD, and it really did open my mind to the complexity of the immune system. But I really do think that, you know, that the school that accepted South College, they saw that I finished the course, and so they're
Mhm.
like, good for you, Ian.
Good.
So we want to give you a chance. And I did mention that in my interview, saying
Mhm.
that, hey, I just finished the course. I passed it with high marks, and I'm ready to take on your program.
Okay. Then we'd put you in touch with one of the students at the school that
Yeah,
you're interviewing with, and hope that was helpful as well.
incredibly helpful. And now we're in close correspondence with respect to try to find housing and what to do in Asheville, North Carolina, and the expectations of some specific courses,
Yeah.
pharmacology, especially.
Yeah, Grace is something else. She's a really great
Grace is
person.
wonderful.
Yep.
Grace is wonderful. Really enjoyed talking to her, and I'm just really excited to get to know her better.
What about the whole CASPA process? Because often we try to get students to, when we're working with somebody for the first time new,
Yeah.
try to let them know it's sort of a overwhelming task that you're going to have to complete and not something to take lightly or put off until the week before you're applying. CASPA.
Definitely. Yeah. I think what you've taught me, James, and I know this to be true for myself, is you can't eat an elephant in one bite.
Yeah.
And so you've helped break that down for me so well. And in so many ways, it helped me to regain my confidence um, in navigating this whole PA school process and application. And it with every passing cycle, it just got less intimidating, to be frank with you. Yeah.
Good.
And I knew what I needed to do. It was just keep on persevering and continue updating and being mindful of what I needed to add.
Good. Good.
Yeah,
Well, again, perseverance is key in this whole process. So
it is. Yeah.
okay, so looking back, and again, I think we always say this is the point where most people watching this is really what they want to know is,
Sure.
looking back, what advice would you give to others who are just now starting in the whole process? What you've
Mhm.
learned throughout all of this that like I should have done this right away or should, what advice would you give to others?
Um, find a, for me, because I've been so non-traditional as an applicant, to find a good PA coach. And I could vouch for you, James. You've helped me so much, and I have absolutely no regrets working with you. Having the guidance is so important. It's not easy, especially these days, as application to school is becoming more competitive. It's getting increasingly competitive. That's the nature. That's the landscape. And I'm so grateful to be accepted this cycle. So having great guidance from a PA mentor, for anybody, for those watching, I highly am vouching for James here. Having a great PA mentor to guide you through is absolutely crucial. And of course, perseverance. There will be times when you feel like you want to give up. And I can tell you 3 cycles later, I wouldn't have done it any differently. You got to believe in yourself, and you got to know that this is a field worth undertaking, and it's so worth it. So worth it. Yeah.
Hey, well, appreciate that. Thanks for the nice words. And likewise, it was a pleasure working with you. I think a lot of times we may have talked a little too much about restaurants and
Oh yeah,
travel,
movies.
movies. Yes. but,
Yes.
but I guess, we still managed to get the work done because you're off to school very shortly. So,
Oh my gosh, in less than a month.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Again, it's been a pleasure working with you. Of course, this is not the end. I hope you will stay in touch and always here to help you. But I appreciate your time today. I know you are busy, and especially you'll be moving soon and starting school
Oh
even
my
sooner.
goodness. Yeah, running like a chicken without its head. Really does feel that way. Thank you,
Well,
James, for your mentorship and guidance. Truly.
thank you. You earned this, Ian. And again, it was a pleasure working with you. And thank you for all of your time.
Thank you, James.